Welcome viewers to your favorite show, Mother and Daughter Relationship. This is an amazing place where we talk about all those weird scenarios that happen between mother and their daughters, and we want to bridge the gap that is in this relationship. Today we're going to be talking about culture, and I am joined by Commissioner S01E07. She is a marriage officer and she's an amazing pastor. Mama, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and welcome viewers.
We're really honored to have you here today. And like you've heard, we're talking about culture today, which is a very interesting topic to talk about in this generation. Do you think people are still even talking about culture these days?
Yeah, I still think so, because as a people, culture defines who we are.
That is very true.
And culture gives us our identity.
I love that.
So I think culture is still relevant in this day and age. Wow. Also, perhaps it depends what you call culture.
Culture, exactly. Yeah. Can you define culture for us in that case, Mama?
Well, for me, culture is about the way of life. And it involves a number of aspects. It involves our belief system. Yes. It also involves even our food. Wow. It also talks about our dress.
I love that.
And it also talks about, did I talk about language? Yeah. And also it talks about relationships. Wow. So culture is broad. So we cannot say we are over with culture. Wow. So the way I would define it, I think culture is really a well-rounded thing, which is it's like it embraces all aspects of life.
Do you know what I love? I am a young mother, and you say that I love the way that you define culture. You highlighted the aspect of food. In the modern day home, do you think that aspect of food, now we're going to the mother's role in terms of keeping the culture alive, in the modern day home, is the bottom stick of culture in terms of food being maintained?
Well, I think in certain aspects, in certain contexts, it still happens. I want to call those are some of the legacies that we should leave our children. Because, for example, the issue of cooking derere that we're talking about,
yes.
You find that in homes, I think we as parents or as mothers, we should be able to give that to our children, so that it is a legacy.
That is true.
And it is like a skill.
That is
it is a skill that you give to your child.
Wow.
So like kubika derere, kubika mbora, and things like that. Mufushwa and things like that. I actually had a situation of a girl who got married at Variku diaspora. The family is in the diaspora. Yes. And this girl was asked by the husband, and the husband said, "Oh, honey, we're going to the market, yes, and I want you to prepare mbora for me." Oh. And you know what this girl did?
Broke loose.
She couldn't.
Oh my word.
She couldn't. So
yeah.
I think we as mothers, we need to give that skill to our children. Yes. Perhaps they might not use it, but it's better to have it than not to have it.
So, in other words, already you're saying that it's the duty of the mother to acquire. If the button stick wasn't passed on to you by your mother, because it's a chain.
It is.
If it wasn't passed on to you, it's your duty to acquire this knowledge, so that you then pass it on to your child, so that you keep this culture alive.
Yes, I think so. And I think it is important for us mothers that we maintain our being Zimbabwean, our uniqueness as a people. Because I think sometimes we become so neutral, or so much neutral, that we lose our being. Yes. So I think it is important that we acquire those skills, those which we can pass to our children, to the next generation. Otherwise, in the next generation, we're not going to have Zimbabweans. We're going to have so much of a hybrid that we don't know ourselves.
We don't.
Yeah.
And I think that has actually started because you take a millennial, like we call them an AMA 2000. There's a lot that has been washed away.
Yeah.
And maybe someone will be thinking we're crazy talking about this today, and they're saying, what's the point? I mean, how does that edify me? Can you educate the viewers and myself as well on the importance of culture in terms of helping the societal balance?
Yeah. I think you have touched a very important point on balance.
Yes.
I think it is important that we should also know that culture is not static.
Oh, yes.
Culture evolves.
I love that one.
So we get aspects from this culture, those good aspects, we get them, and then we incorporate them into our culture. But the important thing is balance. We must not be overboard in terms of becoming other people. Because I think the challenge that young people have is that they want to be other people other than themselves.
That is very true.
And that brings a lot of imbalance to a person, and even to their own personality, because you're trying to be what you're not.
Wow.
And I think it is. I've heard, when I did my masters in the UK some decades ago, there were situations where you find white girls. They're like, but why is this person trying to be what they are not?
Wow.
Why are they pretending? And I'm like, well, perhaps they're trying to, to be what their peers are. So I'm saying that while we try to be what we are not, the other people are actually laughing at us. So why not be yourself? Be yourself.
Wow.
You know yourself as a Zimbabwean, and it is good you have those roots. So that's what I think. I think it is important that we maintain that balance.
We maintain the balance.
Yes.
So it's important for identity's sake.
Yes.
And to preserve who we are, our not just individual identity, but our identity as a nation.
True.
As well.
Yes.
I love that so very much. That is just so enlightening. Can you just help enlighten someone who's at home, who probably, when we come back, I would like you to just go deeper in enlightening someone on the importance of culture in terms of maintaining our balance. We'll go into relationships, marriage, and things like that, and family. Welcome back, viewers. Ma'am, may you please explain to us the cultural expectations towards women?
Okay, thank you. Just let me start by saying that what we are talking about is also provided for in the Constitution.
Wow.
Our Constitution, in terms of Section 16,
Wow.
it talks about us upholding our culture as a people. But now, coming to your question, in Section 8, Part 3,
Yes.
the Constitution actually says that we must, the rights of women and girls are enshrined in the Constitution.
Okay.
All of us, we have equal rights.
Oh, wow.
And when it comes to culture, those cultural aspects that are not in line with the Constitution are not allowed by our Constitution.
Can you enlighten us on those that are not allowed?
Okay. For example, the issue of marrying off your child when they are below 18, which is these days called child marriage. But I don't subscribe to that, because you cannot marry off a child. A child is a child.
A child is a child.
They cannot have full consent because they're a child.
Wow.
So that is one aspect.
Okay.
And then there are other aspects like, for example, in our culture, there's what is called bond,
Okay.
where a girl is given to go and replace either their aunt or their sister.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so that is a culture called bond.
Okay.
Or kuripangos, where a young girl is taken and then given to a particular family whose relative was killed.
Wow.
So you take a young girl and then they are given as mudzimai was. Those aspects of our culture
Yes.
are not allowed in the
Wow.
Constitution. So those are some of the things that I would say they are bad
Okay.
from our culture. But I'm glad to observe that um, it has been sort of going down bit by bit.
Oh yes.
So
it
you
is.
find that there are pockets here and there,
Yes.
but in most cases, people are no longer doing this.
I really love the fact that you've highlighted that it is according to our constitution. That is very enlightening, because people will probably, we tend to just generalize some of these issues and just bash and attack, our leaders and things like that, which is very wrong if you're misinformed. Let's go to the aspect where you talked about child marriages. You talked about a girl being chikazamafiwa. Say I'm a mother, those of you are at home who is a mom, and probably it's the husband's family will say, kwedu ndo zvatinoita, mwana ari kufanira kuenda kunoita chigadzamafiwa. Or I don't know, she's in that kind of a scenario with her daughter. What wisdom can you share with them in terms of having a resolution in a case like this?
Okay, I think at family level, it is very important to have a discussion, an open discussion. Say, I am the mother. I discuss with my husband that in this day and age, these kind of practices are no longer allowed. And as a family, we need to abide by the Constitution and by the provisions of the law. Because we do not live as a family, we do not live on our own. We are not an island.
Oh, yes.
So we need to look at our environment, and if the law says no, then it says no. So I think we need to communicate. It's the communication that is important, and to communicate accurately, so that we can be able to help one another. Because sometimes people might not be informed.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah. So I think as a mother, I'll then communicate the right thing, that this is not allowed, and we need our daughters to grow. We need our daughters to become leaders of today and tomorrow. And yes, so we cannot do that.
That is very true. Yeah. That is very true. So would you say that a mother in this situation can actually take a legal step? Let's say this these talks that you're talking about. Yes, because when you come across these kind of situations, they're very difficult. They're not easily changed by just sitting down, because most of the people who practice these things are very radical, and you find most mothers in a very difficult situation. They don't want their children to go. They don't want their children to be in that situation, but they are they're chained. Their decisions are very limited. What do they do if that does not work?
Well, I think I said the first is the discussion within the home, the bilateral discussion with the husband. Mm-hmm. But I think you can also involve the other family members, the wider family. Okay. And if the wider family are all on one side, then perhaps as a mother, I'm put in a very awkward situation of having to resort to the law. Mm-hmm. So I think the law supports us, but we should explore all the family avenues first.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the law is the last resort. But if need be, then we have to use it. Oh, wow. So that we can save our children. Oh, we cannot continue as if things are the same.
Yes,
no, we have to do something.
We cannot continue to be silent.
Exactly.
And continue to pass this negative aspect of the culture. We can't continue, watching this go on.
Yeah.
Maybe on a lighter note, let's talk about the funny things that people talk about when it comes to our culture. Say kupfugama, you sit down and atete wakurorwa, wakuzwanzi wakamwanangu, kana wasvika kukwenda uko, kunopfugama, unotozvipeta, and you're telling this to this,
I'm a 20,000.
Yes, I'm a You say that right. Some people say that our culture, it kind of crushes womanhood, it breaks women. These are the notions that I hear from people, and people who are anti-culture. Maybe you can enlighten us on maybe the positive and the good in this, on a lighter note. We're talking about the marriage aspect, because it's the mother who's responsible in making sure that their child are passing this on.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one. But I would say personally, there's really nothing wrong in showing, because the kneeling, I think it's a sign of respect.
Oh,
And
I love that.
and so when one is kneeling to their in-laws or to their husband, I think it's a sign of respect. But remember, it's not just the girl; it's the mkwasha as well.
Yeah, they genuflex.
Because the mkwasha cannot come to me and achingoya kamira.
And they remove their head.
They have to remove, and they have to.
Yes.
There's a certain posture which they have to show.
Right.
So it's not just about the girl. It is also about mkwasha.
I love that.
And in it, I have mkwashas.
Oh, this is just so amazing. Hold it
Yes.
right there. Viewers, we'll be right back. Let's go for a break. Before the break, we were talking about cultural expectations towards women, and we're talking about nyaya kupfugama. And you're actually highlighting that it's not one-sided. Even the men themselves, there are certain expectations towards them as well. But let's go to the aspects here. Cultural expectation yekuti munhu anozonzi murora akashandiswa kunge dhogi. You know, those kind of things where people are really taking those culture, tradition, in a very negative way. They help us enlighten us.
Okay, I think this is a situation where sometimes we are embracing perhaps other cultures which are very individualistic.
Oh.
In our cultures, I think we yes, there are expectations about women and girls that you're supposed to, for example, the issue of kneeling towards elders, towards your husband and other respected, people in the family, and even in society.
Oh yeah.
So I think it is not one-sided for women. Like I said, also men, they also kneel. And like when they come to marry, we don't allow them to sit on the sofa. They will sit on the floor. Because that is expected of a mkwasha.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So women are also expected to be, people say, mushamkads. So what they are saying there is that the whole home management is for the woman. She's the one who is in charge. What is going to be cooked and what, and so on, and the recipes and all that. So those are expectations about women. But there are also expectations, I think, about tsika.
Yes.
Tsika
That's a
ne
good
wunu.
one. That's a good one. Tsika ne wunu.
Unfortunately, sometimes our culture tends to look much more on women.
That is true.
That musikana uyu hana tsika, kana kuti mukadzi uyu hana tsika. Because they will not be doing what is expected. For example, or issues like welcoming visitors, being cheerful, being hardworking, and things like that. So, but for me, I think it's not only women, it's also men. Because there are also cultural expectations of a man. Because a man has to prepare to marry. To
save up.
To save up and to marry. I haven't seen girls yet who say, well, I don't want you to pay any lobola for me. We just cohabit. It's dying down in certain areas. Yeah. But I've seen researches that have been done of girls who are at university who say, no, if you're not paying lobola for me, I think you're not serious.
While we're in this wavelength, I'm thinking of a scenario that we had on set the other time. We had a guest who was really, encouraging women to speak out and things like that. And then later on, we had a further discussion that is it really, really bad that our culture, like kuti kare kedu mukadzi ainzi munhu womukadzi kana murume wako akututuma nehasha iwe pfunda mvura is a sign yekucontrola the tension that is between you. And we sort of had a debate on whether that is good or that is bad. Is it oppressive? Is it breaking the woman? Is it depriving the woman? I think you're the best expert to enlighten us in a situation like that. If a mother is thinking about how to educate her daughter in terms of how she relates to her husband, what is the best way to go about it, looking at culture?
Okay, perhaps I'll start by the end.
Yes.
What is it that we want at the end? We want peace, isn't
Yes.
it? We want a good relationship at the end of the day.
Yes.
So for me, it's not just about the husband and wife relationship.
Okay.
It is about societal relationships.
Wow.
Because even if you are not, say, my biological daughter, and I'm working with you, and you are my boss, the way I relate with you is that I should manage the relationship.
Yes.
I should manage even the anger. So in the case of the wife now who is being asked to keep quiet, I think it should be keeping quiet strategically so that you see someone's anger is rising, you strategically keep quiet.
Applying wisdom.
Yes, exactly. So when you keep quiet at that particular time and the person has now, their anger is now down, then you say, honey, did I say something that annoyed you?
Oh, wow.
So you are building the relationship.
Wow.
So I think, yes, voice, yes, people should talk, but when are you talking?
You will want to talk.
Yes. So
Wow.
it's about good interpersonal relationships for me. So it's not only husband and wife, but it's also in other relationships in society as well, including the workplace.
I really love the fact that you said it's not keeping quiet in an abusive way, because I think there was a certain point where people took it like, oh, the woman is being deprived of her voice or is being silenced. But I love the fact that there is no way where our culture states that a woman should be deprived of speaking her mind, but it's about knowing when.
Exactly.
And how.
Exactly.
So why would you encourage a mother to be very cultured, to know her culture, and pass on this button stick of culture to her daughter, as we're about to close off?
I think it is important that we maintain the legacy of our culture. Those good things about creating peace, maintaining peace, unu, tsika dzakanaka. That will, it just causes peace in society. And for me as a mother, if I pass on that to my daughter, I know that the next generation is actually, it will be well cultured. Some of the things that we see now, even in terms of dress, in terms of talking, even in public, in families, and some of the things that are happening like drug abuse and things like that, I think some of the things is that we have lost our identity. We have lost ourselves. And therefore, I think we need to go back to our culture.
That has been so informative. I've been enlightened. Viewers, thank you very much for joining us. This has been very mind-blowing. Thank you.